Multifamily Mindset
podcast. Think bigger.
What up? What up? What up? Welcome to another episode here on the Multifamily Mindset podcast. My name is Dallas Pruitt, and I am super excited to dive into this week's episode. It's a follow-up, a little more tactical, maybe, episode from the amazing story we heard from Hoakalei and Jackson this earlier in this week. Just want to share my gratitude for both of them. Obviously, I have a very strong relationship with Jackson Campbell. He is a brother. He is a colleague, but again, more so, he is a brother in this work, and I love him very much. And so being able to listen to him extract all of those awesome principles and amazing stories from Hoakalei, just super grateful for her and her mission and her story and her willingness to be on the podcast this week. And I don't know about you, but it got me super inspired and motivated and excited about future episodes as this year progresses. I'm loving this new sequence already, and I found myself in Hoakalei's story. And that is one of our goals and one of our purposes with the podcast moving forward, is to bring more relatability to you as the listener, so that you can see these things in action in other people's lives and see yourself in our stories. Because I think at the end of the day, we are all not that different. We're all very much alike, and we all very much struggle with the exact same problems, and they just look a little bit different story to story. So super grateful. I want to dive into a little flow that I've created with this past week's episode to kind of extract some of these principles and hopefully make them a little more actionable for you with the problems you face, so that you can find solutions in your life and in your business, and ultimately just find deep fulfillment in these personal and professional pursuits that you are on right now. So one of the messages that kept popping up in Hoakalei's story, one of the principles was prayer, was solitude. And there was this overarching theme of just spirituality in her journey and the importance of spirituality. And I think that is something that maybe is not hit on enough in the world, in the fast-paced world of not just multifamily, but the fast-paced world of business, the competitive world of business, is the importance of our spirit. And she obviously was speaking to the aloha spirit, but it's something that's alive and well in all of us. And our spirits are an integral part of who we are. In fact, it's one of the most powerful tools that you as a leader in your life, a driven person, can tap into to bring forth more growth and bring forth more opportunity and bring forth more good to this world. So I wanted to dive on that just a little bit. Before I do, a huge shout out to Gibby's and just the amazing team and the amazing people they are inside this network at the Multifamily Mindset. I actually have the privilege of being able to jump on a call every so often with Eric and Brian and Megan, and they're amazing. They are leaders in every right of the word, and I'm just very grateful for them too. So I wanted to just share my gratitude for them as Hoakalei did, and they're doing some amazing work. So if you have not connected with them, Gibby's Capital, little shout out, little plug in there. But let's come back to prayer, and let's come back to a process here. One important principle for furthering your success and finding greater fulfillment in the work you do is finding what your mission is, defining what your mission is within this business, within your life. And it's something that's inside of you. I'm going to try to bring this down to earth for us and not keep it up in the clouds. There is something inside of you. It's real, and you already have access to it. It just might, depending on who you are right now, be a little muddied with noise and the busyness that exists in the world, in your life, in your business right now. It's a calling. It's a purpose. It's who you are. It's not who you need to be. It's who you are already. And for Hoakalei, she was able to extract this calling of hers that was already inside of her through some very diligent, disciplined spiritual work. And I want to bring to light a few things. Pulling this purpose out is very realistic. Pulling this calling out of you and heeding that call and living that mission, it is something that is very realistic and is something that is very necessary if, again, you are to deepen your fulfillment in your pursuits to the deepest and most profound level. And let's talk about a few of these things. There were a couple of things in her story that stood out to me. One was the fact that she made time, and that others like Hoakalei who have tapped into this calling and live this mission, live their purpose within the work they do, is they consistently make time to sit in solitude. They make time for quiet time, and there's a strategy behind it. It's not just random. Some of the things that they do within this solitude that they seek every single day is they connect to nature. She talked heavily on that, and I loved hearing what she has done and what she continues to do, and it's true. Nature has healing components, and nature is living. She talked about this desk that I'm sitting at, this computer, this microphone that I'm speaking into. There's obviously energy coming through right here, but like these things are dead. They're metal. When you get out in nature, those things are alive. They have a different vibration. They have different energy. And I know that maybe sounds a little bit weird to be speaking about that on such a podcast where we're talking about business, but again, spirituality and bringing your best self, your best holistic self to the forefront of the work you do every day is crucial for doing your best work. And connecting with nature, making time for solitude, this is a powerful tool, resource, strategy to bring the best out of you. Because again, the best of you is already inside of you. And I believe that that's a mindset shift in and of itself for a lot of people. We believe that we're out here trying to run down our potential, trying to solve problems, trying to do all these things, when in reality, the best parts of us, that's our birthright. They're here. They're with us already inside. They're a part of who we are. And when we make time to connect with those things, with our spirit, and learn more about those spiritual components, those gifts, those callings, those talents that we have, we become better in all aspects of our lives, and everything we do becomes better, and everybody we serve is impacted directly from that type of approach. So that is an invite with today's episode, is to don't overlook this spiritual component. Don't overlook seeking solitude and making it routine every single day. You know, it's been interesting. One of the things that I have started to do as I come into the office every day is I pray out loud. I pray out loud every single day. I'm a God-fearing man, and so I pray to God, and I ask him for strength. I ask him for help and focus. And it is the joy that I have experienced in the work has deepened, but that connection has also helped me to find better solutions to many of the problems that I face currently in my own personal life and my business. It's a priority for me now to connect to God, to connect to the voice, to connect to the Spirit before the beginning of every day, in the middle of every day, and at the end of every day. That middle sequence looks like me leaving my office, going out to nature. It's sub-zero temperatures right now in Utah. I think that right now we have about 3 feet of snow that just dropped outside. But I bundle up. That's not an excuse. And I go and I just listen. I don't think. I don't problem solve. I just connect. And with practice, this discipline has really become a discipline. It's become an easier process. In the beginning stages, if you're somebody who's currently struggling with this, I want to bring this down to earth for you. It's going to be a bit of a struggle. Jackson alluded to this in this past episode this week, that if you are distracting yourself with busyness, going against that grain and really getting down to some of these types of issues and making time for quiet, still time during your day, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I encourage you and I implore you really to make time for it. It doesn't need to be anything that's beyond 15, 20 minutes midday. Make time. Don't just work through lunch and pound food. Stop. Treat the Spirit. Connect. Listen. And stop thinking. Great things will come from this. And then again, at the end of the day, closing out my day as I leave the office with a prayer. And again, I'm not telling you, nor is anybody else at the Multifamily Mindset telling you what your personal religious beliefs should be. What we're saying is there is a spiritual component to you, to the way you navigate your life, which ultimately bleeds into the way you show up at work and the types of decisions and the types of treatment you bring to the people and the things that are being addressed every single day. Do not overlook that. Do not overlook your spiritual side. Do not overlook the Spirit and the power it has in helping you navigate those things. I love that the story and the principles and the highlights from this past week's episode were centered around these types of things like spirituality, prayer, heeding the call. There was another part in the episode that I wanted to highlight and give you some tactics around a very simple formula that I've used for my whole career since leaving my job as a teacher and principal in the public school system. I'm going to share that here in just a second. It revolves around identity and the part that Hoakalei talked about regarding her story and solidifying her identity. But before I do that, I wanted to share a quote on the solitude component, on the stillness component, on the spiritual component. And this is actually a quote that comes from the resource, Stillness is the Key. With Will putting this together, maybe he can drop a link a direct link to the book, to the resource. It's a book written by Ryan Holiday, one of my favorite authors. And here's what he says about stillness and spirituality and solitude on that vein. He says, stillness is what aims the archer's arrow. It inspires new ideas. It sharpens perspective and illuminates connection. Again, before I move on to identity, if you have not created and solidified a regular routine, daily routine around solitude, connecting to the Spirit, and surrendering to higher powers within the work it is that you do in your life as a whole, including your business, make it a priority today. Define that out. Structure your days accordingly so that you can make that a priority. Okay, on identity. As we close out today's episode, I just wanted to hit briefly on identity. Hoakalei talked a lot about identity in her story and solidifying her identity and then going out and living in accordance with that identity, and how throughout the course of her time in life, it was tied up into certain things. And as she transitioned to other stages of life, she had to change and live into her new identity. And look, that is something that's very realistic, very necessary for all of us as people as we continue to grow, is we have to update our identity. We have to continue to evolve as people. And look, there's transitions that happen all the time, whether it was, being a student athlete and tying up her identity into certain things when she was a student athlete to, post-career as a volleyball player and coming into the world as a business owner, a mom, whatever those things are. They're different for you than they are for Hoakalei, but they're different for me in comparison to others. But look, that's why, again, and this ties perfectly into the connection part and into the spirituality component, is we have to make quiet time to really reflect on where we're at and where we want to go and what is going to be required of us in terms of identity, upgrading our identity, changing our identity so that it is in alignment with our goals, with our aim, with our desires. And James Clear, again, an author of one of my favorite resources, maybe we can link this one up too, Atomic Habits. He says this about identity. He gives this formula for identity. It's a 2-step formula for every time you are in a transitional stage where you have decided, I'm going to do this. It's less about the goal at that point once you've decided and committed, and it's more about becoming. It's more about changing your identity and showing up every day as that person you say you want to be, or as that person that is required to achieve the kinds of goals that you've just set. And here's that 2-step formula. First step is simply just decide who you want to be. So if you're at a transitional stage of life like Hoakalei was, or will get to again, because again, we evolve and grow as people, is to simply just ask yourself, like, okay, at this juncture, at this transition, who do I want to be? What kind of person do I want to be? Do I want to be strong? Do I want to be a business owner? Do I want, whatever. And then after you've clearly defined the type of person you want to be, step 2 of the formula is to simply just show up every day and prove it to yourself with small wins. Do the types of things that that person does. Now, a very basic example, again, I've already mentioned, is if you want to become strong, well, show up every day. Become the type of person that goes to the gym every day. Just simply go to the gym every day and get a little bit better every day. Get 1% better in the things that strong people get better in, and just stack small wins. You don't need to do it all, especially right now. You will learn and grow and get better with time. Little by little, a little becomes a lot. You don't become a business owner overnight, but you can act as a business owner every day in the process of becoming that business owner. Powerful principles, powerful story from Hoakalei this past week in Jackson. Very grateful for these two. And my hope today with this episode is that you're able to pull out some strategic ways in which you can get a little bit better within these principles. Again, bringing more spirituality to the forefront of your business and the forefront of your life. Connecting, creating time for stillness so you can make better decisions in alignment with who it is you are, how you really want to show up, how you really want to serve, as well as this little 2-step formula to help you continue forward in upgrading your identity within these transitions of life, because transitions just don't happen once. They happen all the time because evolution and growth is a process, and that's the goal. We love and appreciate you guys. Our network is amazing, and we will see you guys back here on the podcast for a new story and new mindset episode next week.
Multifamily Mindset podcast. Think bigger.